and welcome to Ark Training. My name's Simon. I'm one of the ICT technicians here at Ark, and I'm also part of the training team. And today we're actually going to go through part one of Microsoft Teams training. We're going to have a look at the team space. We're going to have a quick look at activity, chat, how we can create a team, how we can manage a team, the channels in the team. We're going to have a quick look at the general sort of chat functions within there. We're going to have a look at calendar calls and talk about what can go wrong and stuff like that. So without any further ado, I would like to draw your attention to, in the right hand pane of your window, there's a little Q&A space in there. If you wouldn't mind just dropping us a line and telling us who you are and where you're from, that would be absolutely amazing. Thank you so much indeed. It's always nice to know that I'm actually not talking to myself. It can be quite entertaining to talk to yourself because you don't argue so much, but it's nice to know that somebody's listening. So we're going to dive straight in and let's have a look at our GDPR safeguarding thing from Lincolnshire County Council. But all councils have pretty much the same sort of thing going on, so it doesn't matter if you're in Leicestershire, Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire, Lincolnshire, they've all basically said exactly the same, and that's important that all staff who interact with children, including online, continue to look out for signs of a child who may be at risk. Any such concerns should be dealt with as per the Safeguarding and Child Protection Policy, and where appropriate, referrals should still be made to the Children's Social Care and, as required, the police. Online teaching should follow the same principles as set out in the School Code of Conduct. Absolutely. Teams is an extension to your classroom. It doesn't replace your classroom. It's not instead of your classroom. It's an extension to your classroom. So the rules and regulations that govern your classroom follow exactly the same on Microsoft Teams. The school will ensure any use of online learning tools and systems is in line with privacy and data protection / GDPR requirements. When we actually install and configure Teams for a school, we always make sure that that's actually the case. There's some guidelines from Microsoft that we adhere to. There's also some guidelines for, well, they're not guidelines. Well, they say they're guidelines from the Department of Education that obviously we put in. And then any local guidelines as well, we put those in as well. So by the time it gets to you, it's fully data protected and GDPR'd. This is the important part. Obviously, no one-to-ones, groups only. Don't allow pupils into a meeting and keep them in the lobby until at least 2 pupils and 2 staff are present, and then click record before they enter the meeting. This is about keeping everybody safe, really. So no one-to-ones, and in case you're in any doubt what that means, it means that you are not allowed to be on your own in a chat room or call or meeting with a student. There must be at least 2 of you. Staff and children must wear suitable clothing, as should anyone else in the household. So if you're actually doing this from home, anybody in that home that's likely to walk past the camera should be suitably attired. Obviously, we're coming up to some warmer weather, hopefully, at some point in the future. Obviously, it's England, so you never know. And, we don't want, bikini-clad daughters, partners, friends or whatever roaming around in the background. Neither do we want our teenage sons wandering around in some sort of inappropriate t-shirt. Any computers should be used in appropriate areas, for example not in bedrooms, and the background should be blurred. We know that sometimes you can't blur a background because the laptop that you're using isn't actually capable of doing so. If that's the case, back yourself up against a wall so that nothing's going to sort of come behind you. Hang a sheet down there. Or indeed just don't actually turn your video camera on. The live class should be recorded so that if any issues were to arise, the video can be reviewed. This protects you and it protects your students as well. Live classes, if we're still streaming from home, obviously, must be kept to a reasonable length of time, otherwise you may prevent the family from getting on with their day. Make of that what you will. Language must be professional and appropriate, including any family members in the background. So let's go back to our teenage son with a Megadeth t-shirt who's playing a game on his Xbox, and a 12-year-old from Brazil has just shot him in the back of the head. We don't want our teenage son shouting obscenities at the 12-year-old in Brazil, and we certainly don't want it coming across our laptops and into our classrooms. Staff must only use platforms specified by senior managers and approved by our IT network manager / provider to communicate with pupils. Microsoft Teams is actually one of those. It's I think every council up and down the country has accepted that Microsoft Teams is one of the best platforms. Staff should record the length, time and date of attendance of any sessions held, or in other words, a register. So that's the boring part of all of this out of the way. Now let's have a look at the Teams bit. Okay, so this is the introduction to Microsoft Teams. So on the left-hand side, in this particular case, we have the blue banner down on the left-hand side, which is the Me space, and this big grey space on the right-hand side is what Microsoft refer to as the We space. If we just run through the tabs at the top, or down the side, I should say, the first one is Activity. So Activity. This is my activity, so everything now in the blue ribbon and the white is basically the Me space. Okay, so this is my activity, things that is to do with me. So this is Joseph reacted to my message because it was quite a funny message. Don't ask, just accept it. Richard obviously gave me a thumbs up for something. And then obviously Rachel's reacted to different messages, and then I've got mentions, so somebody's mentioned me, so that we can all have a look and see what's going on. But these are things where I'm directly involved with something, so somebody's responded or somebody's tagged me, so it actually immediately flags up in my activity and tells me so. The next thing on the left hand side is the chat. So we have different chats for different things, so let's have a look. So at the moment I'm looking at a chat that I've been having with my friend Richard. We've been talking about scripting the creation, the deletion and archiving of pupils and their folders and all of that sort of stuff. So this is the Me part on the left again. So this is my chat, this is to do with me, and this is the We bit. So this is what I've said to Richard and what obviously Richard has said to me. So if we look down here, I've done this for Kaythorpe, open that, do this, and then it does that. So I've sent Richard a load of files, and he's actually come back and said, nice one, he's going to have a look and all that sort of stuff. So these are all the different chats that I'm involved with. That's just a one-to-one sort of private chat that I've got with Richard. We've got Ark Technical, which is our technical channel, which is it's all of our engineers, the management, anybody that's technical is in that chat, so we can share ideas, and if anybody's got a problem, obviously we can all sort of chip in and solve those problems. Team Ark, that's the whole team at Ark. What we do at the moment, because obviously a lot of us are working from home still, and we're out and about, we have a nice roll call every morning, make sure that everybody's okay, and there's some fun and some sort of banter and stuff goes on in there, hence the bowl cut here and that kind of thing. And there's a DFE provisioning team, so we're actually part of the Department for Education's rollout of various things. So here we go, that's me asking for some cover for some bits and pieces. So it can be anything from the entire team up to an individual person. So like I said earlier on, I've been talking to Richard. Obviously there's Phil there, and engineers, we've got a group called engineers where all the on-site engineers have their own little chat. So that's the chat window, and it's actually really useful. It's definitely useful for keeping in touch and for collaborating on different things. The amount of problems that have been solved in one of these chats for something or other is actually quite impressive. The next tab down is the Teams tab. Now, before I go any further, I'm actually just going to say, if you want to rearrange these on the left-hand side, you simply hold down with your left mouse button, and you can actually drag these to rearrange them. So I've just put chat under Teams, or I can do that. I leave mine as the default settings. A couple of reasons. First off, I never knew you could do that until a few weeks ago. And secondly, for when I'm training, obviously the default configuration is much better for when I'm training. But if you had a particular need to put these into alphabetical order or some sort of order that makes sense to you, then by all means do so. So we're now looking at our teams, and these are the teams that I'm involved with. Obviously, I've got the company share, and I'm involved in the engineers. So these are the two groups that I'm on with. This is a group that I created for me for when I'm testing things. There's two other people in the Simon group. One is me, and the other one is me. So I can actually have three of me all at the same time. The little picture there is actually a picture of my cat Jeff. Jeff may or may not make an appearance. If he does so, I will pause the video whilst I go and give him some dreamies, otherwise he doesn't stop shouting at me, because he's nice like that. So let's have a quick look. What we want to do is we're going to join or create a team. But what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to show you something very, very easily. It says, if you hover up here, you've got 3 little dots in the top right hand corner, and it says more options. Now, more options, obviously straight from here, you can manage the team, add a channel member, blah 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 blah. This bottom one here says delete the team. I know it says delete the team, but don't delete the team. And in case you're wondering, don't delete the team. If you're tempted, please don't delete the team. Please don't delete the team. By the way, I may have not have mentioned don't delete the team. Yeah, I think that's it. By the way, don't delete the team. There is a much better way. If you click on that cog, you manage your team, you can actually archive. Actually, let me just click on the one that I've made. If you've created that team and you've got the right permissions, we can archive the team, which is there, which makes it a read-only kind of thing, and then we can actually make it not visible. Have a look on our YouTube channel. There's a much better video that takes you through how to archive a team. And you always archive team, don't delete your team. And in case you didn't actually get that, don't delete your team. So, I think we'll move on and we'll create a team. We're not deleting a team, we're going to create one. So from scratch, we're going to create this team. Obviously, if Ark have actually done your implementation of Microsoft Teams for the first time around, you'll actually get all of your teams pre-populated with the information that you've given us, and that's part of the service that we provide. However, going forward, you may feel the need to create a new team for many reasons. So let's just go ahead and create a team. There's one here that says join the team with a code. Yes, we can, but no, we don't. We like to control who's actually joining our teams. Okay, so I'm actually going to create a team. We've got 4 different teams that we can actually create. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a class team, because the class one is the only one that actually gives us things like group projects and assignments and stuff like that. However, the other 3, very briefly, you can come up with a PLC if you wish, which is just an education working group. You can come up with a staff one, so you can have all of your Key Stage 1 staff, all your Key Stage 2, Key Stage 3, first year, 5th year, whatever. Maths teachers, science teachers, music teachers, all those sort of things. So if we ever are allowed after school activities again, say you've got a school rugby team, basketball team or football team, we can actually create them a team and they can use it to communicate with each other. So, football practice isn't on this week because Mr. Smith's got a doctor's appointment or whatever. But the one that we're actually going to do at the moment, by the way, staff ones are really useful. It is that thing about collaboration, and it is that thing about sharing information between people doing the same sort of job. They can be very invaluable. So we're actually going to create a class. I'm just going to click on class, and we're going to give our class a name. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to give our class the name, oh dear Lord, I've put caps lock on, of Thor. So we're doing Norse gods. Now you can put a description in here. It does say optional. So let's do that and push next. And that's actually now going to create my team. What we need for a team is we need some students. Now I've actually got 5 fake little students. So I've got Ark Pupil 1, Ark Pupil 2's in here somewhere. Ark Pupil 2, Ark Pupil 3, Ark Pupil 4. And last but by no means least, Ark Pupil 5. So here's my teachers, here's my students, and I'm just going to click the add button there. So I've added those 5 pupils. I'm actually going to add a teacher as well. We should always have at least 2 teachers per team. And strangely enough, I've got an Ark teacher as well. So I'm just going to add those. So these are accounts that I've obviously set up just for training purposes. So once I've added the required students and teachers, and like I said, always have at least 2 teachers per team. Or a teacher and a TA, or 2 TAs, or however many you like. Now I'm going to push close, and that's actually going to add them to my team. So we are now in my team. Okay, it says T for team. No, it doesn't. It says T for Thor. We can actually start instant meetings as this nice helpful bubble's just come up and shown us. So in this left-hand panel, we've got the team logo, or the team icon, the team picture, if you like. There, we've got what the team's actually called, which is Thor, and there's 3 dots there that we are actually going to use for managing the team and more options and things. We've got our general channel here, which we're going to come to later. We're going to come to channels later. But in our immediate sort of window here, we've got find help and training. So yes, that'll take you off and try and find you some help and some training from Microsoft. We've got upload class materials link here as well. So the first thing we're actually going to do is we're going to go to class materials, but after we've had a quick sojourn across these tabs across the top. And by the way, if I click that link, it takes us to exactly the same place as that link. So let's have a quick look. Our general tab gives us this, okay? So it gives us our general feed straight away. This is the first page that people see when they come into the team. And at the moment, this is set to actually allow a conversation started from anybody. So not just you as a teacher, but any one of your pupils could start a conversation as well. I heartily recommend that we change this so that only you can set stuff in this particular channel. This is called a channel down here. And we'll come to how we do that later, but definitely change that, because if you post something that's quite important, somebody clicks into their team, but you've had 15 students post random stuff. What you want to say to people that's very important has now disappeared off the top of the screen and might get missed. So I always recommend that we turn that so that only teachers can post. So that's our sort of post general kind of tab. Now we're going to go to files. We can't get your files. We're working on getting them back. How lovely for me. Right, come on, you can do it. I should point out my broadband here isn't exceptional. I live in the countryside and sometimes it's not great. So I'm just going to upload a file, and what I'm actually going to upload is I'm going to actually upload this Kahoot template just here. Okay, and you can see that it's actually uploaded. Lovely job. Now what that means is we can see this Kahoot template, we can click on it, it will actually open it up in this Teams window, it won't actually spawn a new Excel window or anything else, and we can do whatever we want. No problem at all. And I'm going to push close. The problem with files in this general area is we can add files, we can modify files, we can delete files. No problem at all. So can all of our pupils. So if it's something that you want to give them, where you want them to download something, do something on their own time and then re-upload it, or email it or submit it in some way, we put that in class materials. So I'm going to click on class materials and immediately you'll see read-only class files go here. Students can read these files, but only teachers can edit these files. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload the very same Kahoot template again, and then in part 2, when I actually log on as a pupil, I'll show you the difference between these two. So we can still come in here and we can obviously edit this template, no problem at all. So let me just click on there and I can say hello, or okay, I can say hello. Okay, I can close that, and because I'm a teacher, I have full access to this file, so I can do whatever it is that I want to that file, apart from close it apparently. Close, thank you. Right, so that's the Files tab. Now, the next couple of tabs we're not actually going to have anything to do with. There's a class notebook, we cover that in part 2. There's assignments, we cover in part 2. And there's grades that we cover in part 2. The next one is a plus. We can actually add a tab. And what I would suggest to you is in here, have a look. If you use Kahoot, there is a Kahoot plugin straight away that we can actually add into our channel. It will ask you to log in. I'm just going to take this bit that says post to the channel about this tab. I'm going to log in. I'll be honest, I used to be a lecturer at Boston College, which is when I actually set up my Kahoot account, and over the I've never actually changed it. So it still thinks, yeah, I need to change my email address there really. That's my problem, not yours, obviously. So there we go, I've logged in, and I'm just going to add Kahoot and push save. And what that means is I've now got access to all of my Kahoots, and I can do various bits and pieces with my Kahoots. Visit our YouTube channel. There's a whole video dedicated to Kahoot on there as well. I'm going to hit the plus tab again, and this time I'm actually going to type in insight, and I want some insights. It's not this business analytics insight, it's just this insights. Okay, so I'm going to add that. Yeah, absolutely add. Thank you very much. I'm not going to post to the channel about it because I don't want to, and I'm going to push save. Now, the reason I've added insights, very simply, it gives us some really great detail of what our pupils have been doing in this channel, with all sorts of different information. Obviously there's nothing there yet because you've just seen me create the channel, but going forward this will actually be really useful. It will actually tell you exactly what times our pupils have been engaging with things. So you know they might have replied to a message, or they might have posted a message, and it will tell us exactly when they did that. It will tell us when they've done all sorts of stuff. So if we drop down this all activities bit here, we can see assignments. So we can see if a particular student has done an assignment, when they did it, when they submitted it, etc., etc. This is really good. This gives you some great detail on this channel, but this is only for this channel. So when you actually create some new channels, which we're going to do very shortly, if you want to add your Kahoots and your insights in there, please do so, but it is per channel. Okay, so that's that top ribbon done. Okay, so I just click back on posts and you can see I'm the Kahoot app. I'm here to help you create engaging, fun learning. Oh my good lord, are you really? And what I can do, because I'm a teacher, I can delete it. Ta-da, it's gone. Right, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to click on the three dots there that say more options, and we're going to go and manage our team. So the first tab that we've got here is members, and it's split into owners and members and guests. Now by default, guests are turned off. That's actually from the DFE. By default, we turn guest accounts off. There have been some schools that want guest accounts turned back on, and if that's the case for you, then have a word with your support engineer and we can do that, but there are risks obviously associated with turning guest accounts on. Mainly because they're guests, they're not within our organisation. So we see here it says owners, and where we see owners we think teachers, and where we see members we think pupil. Microsoft Teams is a fantastic collaboration tool, but it's not specifically designed for schools. It's designed for organisations of pretty much any description. So it could be a business, it could be a charity, it could be obviously schools, colleges, universities, it can be anything. So normally an owner title is the correct thing, and a member title is the correct thing. But for what we're looking at, when we see owners we must think teacher, when we see members we think pupil. So let's have a quick look. What we can do is we can add new members, and that brings up the same window that we had before. And we can delete members as well. So here's Ark Pupil 4. I'm just going to delete Ark Pupil 4. Let's just say that Ark Pupil 4 has left and gone to another school. Perhaps they're in, for whatever reason. I'm going to remove Ark Pupil 4. Now you'll notice immediately that Microsoft didn't come up with the usual annoying box of, are you sure you want to delete Ark Pupil 4? Are you really, really sure? Have you phoned a friend and made absolutely sure that you want to delete Ark Pupil 4? No, it just deletes it. What you must not do at this point is panic and hit the add member button. Phone your support guys and see if they can actually restore that user. If you add them again, the chances are that all of the work that was associated with that pupil might not come back. Okay, so don't knee-jerk and immediately try and add them back if you've made a mistake. Get hold of support and see if they'll put them back in. It's going to take a while, I'm not going to lie, because we'd have to go to the backup and do all of that sort of stuff. But if you rush it, we may actually lose that student's work. And then if you actually add that member back in and then think, oh no, Simon said don't do that, and then delete them out again, you've almost certainly lost their work. It just won't end right. So if you accidentally delete somebody, just phone us. Obviously we don't have the same cross next to our teachers, but what we can do is we can use this drop down button here and we can make a teacher a pupil. So there we go. And again you'll notice it didn't say are you sure, are you really, really sure, are you absolutely sure, do you really want to do this? And vice versa, if we drop this down, I'm going to make Ark Teacher a teacher again. I'm going to make Ark Teacher a teacher, and again it doesn't say are you sure, it just does it. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually just going to put Ark Pupil 4 back in. Poor little Ark Pupil 4. Here we go, and click add, and then click close. So there you go, that's how we can actually remove members. We can add members, we can make a teacher a student or a student a teacher, but we can't delete teachers. Okay, so that's actually quite important. We can't delete teachers. Okay, so that's pretty much all I've got on our members tab here. So now what we're going to do is going to go to channels, and we can see that we've only got the one channel. So I'm going to add a channel. Okay, so in our class of 4, we do things like history. Here we go. And there is a description which is optional. Ooh, there you go, there's a description. And this bit down here, privacy, we have standard and we have private. And at the moment, I'm just going to go with standard. And I'm going to tick this box here that says show it in everybody's class list. And I'm going to click add. Okay, so that's history done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to add another channel. So we've done history. Let's do computing. Why not? And again, I'm going to leave that as standard. I'm not going to leave that as I'm not going to tick that down to private yet. And I'm going to put a tick in the box to show it immediately in everybody's channel. And I'm going to push add again. So now we should have general, computing, and history. And again, I'm going to add another channel. Only this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it computing 2. Okay. So our description could be scaffolding, or I'll explain. This time we're going to drop this down to private, so only people that I'm about to specify can access this team. Now this could be perhaps you've got a couple of students that aren't performing particularly well in their computing, and you want to we're giving them some extra work, some extra scaffolding kind of thing to actually pick them up and raise them to the level of the rest of the group. Or indeed it could be that we've got a couple of pupils that are doing excellently, and what we're actually trying to do is we're saying, okay, well, we're going to give you some work from what you would do next year. I want to see how you get on with that, and we can try and raise them up. So it's that kind of differentiation that we're looking for. At the moment, the only teacher in this group is me, because I'm creating a group and it's a private group, so I'm actually going to add Ark teacher as well, and then I'm going to push done, obviously, because best practice is you need 2 teachers. Okay, now you can see computing 2, and you can see that it's got a padlock on there denoting that it is actually a private group. So if we want to modify these channels, it's dead easy. All we do is we go from general over here, we click on our more options, and we can manage the channel. So as I said, for our general channel, at the moment it says that anybody can post messages. You can have it, anyone can post, show alert that posting will notify everyone, which is obviously recommended for large teams, but we're not really into that at the moment. I generally tend to set this, and like I said, I heartily recommend you set it so that only owners can post messages. That means that when somebody comes into the team, on that first page, the only thing they're going to see is things that you want them to see. So it could be important information, and I would definitely do that. Okay, so let's have a look at computing 2 now. Oh, sorry, computing. So in computing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to manage my channel. And I'm going to say that moderation is off. Everyone can start a new post. There's 2 choices here. You've got everyone can start a new post, or everyone except guests can start a new post. Now by default, as I said, guest accounts are off, so we can actually leave it at that. However, if your school is one of the schools that wants guest accounts on, then perhaps that's a better solution. Everyone except guests can start a new post. Okay, so that's how I'm going to leave that one. Now we're going to go down to history, and I'm going to manage the history channel. Oh hey, the history channel. I can't help it. I did English a few weeks ago, and I actually had to pause the video for a while because I was giggling at the fact that I just modified the English channel. So the history channel, this time I'm going to turn moderation on. So the moderators are the team owners, which is obviously myself and Ark teacher. We can manage that, and anybody that's actually within our team we can actually get to be a moderator. That's no problem at all. But they have to be a member of our team. So who can start a new post? Only moderators. So only us teachers can actually start a new post. And then we've got these 3 little tick boxes that we need to have addressed. So we want to allow our pupils to reply to messages. No problem at all. Allow bots to submit channel messages. I would untick that. Bots have a bad reputation, really. Oh, it's a botnet and all this sort of stuff. What a bot actually was originally designed to do, we've all sort of interacted with them at one point or another. A bot merely immediately posts back something. So if we're getting help from some bank website or a B&Q or whatever it is, and you go online and there's a little chat function, you put in hello, I want to talk to you about such and such, and this little message immediately arrives saying, you're 15th in the queue or whatever it is. That's actually a bot that's doing it. Okay, but we want to know that what's going in our channel is what's going in our channel from either us or our students. We don't want random things turning up. I would also untick this last one, allow connectors to submit channel messages. As I've said, Microsoft Teams is primarily a collaboration tool, and as such it does have plugins to various social networks. If we allow this, despite the fact that we've obviously turned a lot of stuff off behind the scenes, it's a belt and braces approach really, because you can't actually add that channel connector and get it working properly through the configuration behind the scenes. But just take it off anyway. It just means that, you know, it's just safer. Okay, so it's just safer. If we now have a look at computing 2, we're going to go and manage our channel for computing 2. We can actually add members, you know, in the same way that we can do with the team. So let's just say that Ark Teacher was going to leave or had other things to do. We could actually remove Ark Teacher, and then we could add in another teacher to help us keep, or you know, or TA to help us keep in line with government sanctions and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's just exactly the same as it is in the team. Right, I'm going to skip this settings bit. I'm going to go to analytics. There is an analytics thing on every single one of these teams that we put in a private thing, but it's not brilliant. That's kind of it really. Let's just jump back to settings. So we have some interesting things. We have member permissions. Right, this is where it starts to get interesting. By default, this one is unticked, and I would leave it unticked if I were you. Owners can delete all messages. Yep, absolutely. So teachers can delete all messages. We want the power. Do we want to give our pupils the option to delete their messages, and do we want to give our pupils the option to edit their messages? Now this, as I've said before, is an extension to your classroom. Okay, so it's whatever you want. It really is down to you. I generally untick both of these. And I've got two reasons for that. First off, I want to see a pupil's learning journey, and if they've got the power to edit or delete stuff, they can actually post a question that they don't know the answer to, and then before you've even seen it, think, oh hang on, I know how to figure that out, oh no, I've got it, and then they can come back and delete that message. I don't want that. I want to see the learning journey that my pupils are taking. I like that. I like to see that they're growing, and I like to see that they're actually taking charge of their education. The second option down here, sorry, the second reason that I don't like it is especially with Ark Pupil 1 told me that my mum smells of fish, and I don't like Ark Pupil 1 anymore, he's being a bully, says Ark Pupil 5. So you go and have a look in this chat where Ark Pupil 5 has said that Ark Pupil 1's been nasty. Ark Pupil 1 in the meantime has edited their message or deleted their message. There's no proof. So I like proof. I'm a great believer in proof. So I always untick these two. However, you know your class way better than I ever will, so it is totally and utterly up to you to do with what you wish. Okay? Then we've got mentions. I don't see the harm in leaving mentions on. Mentions are great because you can just do an @channel or channel name, and it just flags up a little bit of activity and draws your eye to it. So if you've actually skipped something, it can draw your eye back to it. And then we've got fun stuff. So do we want to allow GIFs, stickers, and customized memes? Again, your class, you know them way better than me, so it's up to you. You can either turn them on or turn them off. There is a content filter immediately set to strict, but you can set it to moderate or allow all content. If you hold, just leave it on strict. All right, just don't even look. Just don't. If you're tempted to knock down that arrow, just don't. Just leave it on strict, and don't delete anybody. Just leave it on strict. Then we've got stickers and memes. Do we want to allow that sort of thing? And customized memes. I would always untick customized memes, and that's purely because I can actually have a student who takes a standard meme that would bypass any content filter, write a rude word over the top of it, and post that meme. I don't want that. It gets marked as customized, so we can actually just filter those out straight away. Now, you might find that your channel gets absolutely overrun, and then you just untick them. No problem at all. And you tell them, right, okay, I've enabled GIFs again. If you can be good and don't flood the channel with GIFs, then I'll leave it on. Leave it for a week or so, see how it goes. If they're not behaving, take it off. Or leave it on. If they're behaving, say, okay, have stickers back. No problem at all. If they can't use it properly, then fine, take it off. Or put it on. Again, It really is your choice. It's your classroom, so it really is down to you. Okay, so if we just go back and manage the actual team, so we've actually done pending requests. We have no requests at this time. You will never have requests because requests only come from people that have a code, and we don't do codes. So here's our channels, and obviously we created in some channels, and we managed some channels, and this is kind of what it would look like as we go down. You can also obviously delete a channel. You can get a link to a channel. You can get the email address of a channel, so you can email a channel directly in. So if I just clip that for a moment, and then I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to that. I'm going to go to my Outlook. I'm going to email the history channel with history. Hello. And then push send. So I can actually email things directly into my channel if I want to. And you'll know when it turns up because it should actually start turning bold and stuff like that. So let's just have a quick look. No, it's not there yet. That's fine. It will get there eventually. There you go. It's just popped in, so I'll get back to push another button. So there you go. There's my email from me straight into that team, straight into that channel. So we're going to go back and manage our team again. So that's our channels. Then we've got settings. Settings are great, so we can pick a team theme. So we can change the theme. By the way, I should point out that when it says team theme, it means this icon here changes. That's all that happens. You can, if you wish, you can obviously change the name of the team. You can actually scroll down and you can pick one of these, or you can actually upload something. And well, that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to go very quickly onto Google, and I'm going to type in Thor on images. No, not Thor. Thor. We'll go to images, and you pick an image that's kind of suitable. Here we go. That'll do. I'm going to save that image, but obviously what you need to do is make sure that it is sort of copyright infringement free, or Creative Commons is always a good one to go for, because Creative Commons is a lot more lax. Or you can just actually email the website and say, look, I'm a primary school teacher, I want to use this image for this and this. Is that okay? And 9 times out of 10 actually I've discovered that companies are really good, and they will just sit there and go, yeah, that's fine, don't worry about it. So here we go. So that's Thor, and I'm going to update. So now everywhere that there was a T, there is now a little mini Thor. So if I actually go back to the teams over here, there you go, there's Thor. Perfect. So let's just go back to manage the team, go back to settings. We have member permissions. Now this is going to seem hauntingly familiar. So by default, all of these are actually turned off, and these are the 3 that we were looking at earlier. So this is a global thing. The one we were looking at earlier was per channel. This is a global thing. So if we actually edit any of these settings, if we turn any of these off, when we create a new channel, that will be the default. Then you can actually go into that channel and turn them on if you want. It doesn't lock them out, but that's the default for those settings. Okay. Guest permissions are all grayed out because obviously there are no guests allowed. We've got mentions, which we said earlier. I generally don't mind mentions at all. So these are 2 in here. So you've got team and team name, channel or channel name. I tend to leave both ticked because it's just easier. If somebody mentions the team, obviously everybody gets a nice little activity thingy up here and says that somebody's mentioned the team. Then we've got fun stuff, which looks hauntingly familiar again. And like I said, this is a global level rather than an individual channel level. So on a global level, this is what you want to do. No problem at all. And then we've got our OneNote class notebook. Now OneNote is actually in part 2, so we're going to skip that. And then we've got tags. So who can add tags? And that's like at Mrs. Robinson, at Mr. Smith. I like them. I put them on, and the reason I put them on is because if a child is struggling with their homework for whatever reason, they can actually just put into, say history or computing or whatever, at Mrs. Robinson, I'm really struggling with this, can you give me a hand tomorrow? Or, can we review it, that sort of thing. Then we've got analytics on the right hand side here. And this is for the entire team really. So this is all channels. You can actually drop it down per channel, but this is for all channels. So this is a good overview, but it doesn't give you the same sort of overview as that insights that I installed on our general channel. Obviously, I appreciate we've only just created this team, so there's no data in there, but trust me, it doesn't give you quite the granularity that the insights do per channel, but as an overall, it is much, much better. And the last tab across the top is apps. So these are all the apps that are installed. So we've got Forms, Insights, Kahoot, OneNote, Planner, Power BI, Praise, and SharePoint. There is a bin symbol next to them, so we can delete whatever we want. For God's sake, don't delete any. But there is a bin, so you can actually delete something. Please don't delete it. Certainly don't delete that or that or that or that. You just don't delete stuff. There is one here that says praise, and you can actually send praise to people. So what I could do is I can go into my chat, and if I wanted to, I can actually use the little praise bit down here, and I can send somebody a praisey thing. So I could actually send them courage or coach, leadership, creative, awesome, all that kind of stuff, and it will actually put into their channel something that looks very much like, because I sent Joe one the other week, and it'll say there you go. So I sent praise to Joe Lee. Well done on the GDPR, Joe. There you go. So that's fine. Okay. So that is that's praise, and you can actually do it. So you can actually send it into the general channel, or the computing, or the Computer 2 history channel, whatever you like, and just name somebody specifically so that that person knows that they're getting praise, but so does everybody else in that channel. And it's like that gold star. It's a really good way of doing this gold star sort of thing. So it's actually pretty good. Whew. We are whipping through. This is amazing. Okay, so I'm not going to show you how to do a meeting particularly. However, there is a nice little icon down here somewhere. Oh, they've moved it in the latest version. Right, so up here, which used to be down there, is now up here is the meet icon. You can actually just hit meet, and you can meet now. Hi, by the way, that's me. You can hit meet now, and you can add a subject and all that sort of stuff, or just click off, or you can actually schedule a meeting. So we can actually schedule meetings as well. Which brings me nicely onto the calendar. So on the left hand side, I'm going to skip assignments. Assignments are actually in part 2. And here's our calendar. Now our calendar is really, really good. It's really, really cool. It's really, really amazing. Because our calendar looks exactly the same in Outlook as it does in Teams, and that is because the calendar looks in the same place for both applications. So if I wanted to actually put on a new meeting there, I can just click in there. I can add a title, help. I can add required attendees, so I can actually add individual people if I want to. I'm not going to, and I'll show you why in a moment. You can set the date, the time, how long it's going to be, and we can actually, does it repeat? Does it repeat every day? Does it repeat just Monday to Friday? Is it a weekly, a monthly, a yearly thing? Or we can do a custom. And a custom actually allows us to set an end date as well. So we can set that to the end of half term or full term or whatever. Add a channel. So if I actually add a channel, which I'm going to do, I'm going to put it in Thor, and I'm going to put it in general. So what that means is everybody that is a member of Thor is going to be invited to this. Okay? And then we can type in the details and then push send. And that's going to actually appear up here. You can see it's sort of slightly greyed out. The only problem with the Teams calendar, which they still haven't fixed in this latest version, is it doesn't actually, if you go forward a week and then go back a week, there you go, it's fine. If I just go into my Outlook, you can see it's already there. Outlook for some reason automatically updates itself, whereas Teams doesn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new meeting in Outlook, just as you would. So I'm actually going to clean my bavan. I'm going to clean my bavan. I'm going to clean my van. Save and close. So there you go. I've got. I'm going to help clean my van. Actually, that would be really useful. Help clean my van. So I'm now going to go back into Teams. Oh, I do that every time. It's not there yet, but it will actually appear at some point. So again, I'm just going to go forwards, and I'm going to go backwards, and then here's my clean van. What you can also do in Outlook, you can actually put in a Teams meeting. It's because it's a direct plugin. Outlook allows you to create a Teams meeting as well, so that we can actually do it straight from Teams. What we can also do is if I wanted to cancel something, there you go. I'm going to delete that clean the van thing. Going to come back up. Oh, every time I click, why do I click? There you go, and my van has disappeared. And we can obviously delete from either Outlook or we can delete from in Microsoft Teams. It doesn't make any difference. So I'm just going to cancel that meeting. There you go, I've cancelled that meeting. And it's now immediately disappeared from my Teams. And if we look in here, it says cancelled. There you go. Outlook now wants to say, okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to delete it or what? So yeah, okay, just delete it. And my meeting has been deleted. So because Outlook and Teams look in the same place for their calendar, you shouldn't ever get one calendar versus another. And if you're in any doubt, if you're in Teams, just go forward a week, back a week, and it'll be fine. So the last thing I want to show you today is calls. Now calls is a tricky one really. First page is speed dial. So this is where you put people that you would phone on a fairly regular basis. Obviously I've got some speed dials set up, I've got some engineers set up, and other contacts, etc, etc. To actually create a new speed dial group, you just click there and you can actually add a name, and if you just want to add a new group, let's just add a new group called Buy, because I'm going to delete it very, very shortly. So if we look in here, somewhere there will be a Buy. Here we go. There's the 3 dots, and let's add a contact to the group. And the contact that I'm actually going to add is Joe Lee. That'll do. So there's Joe in his own little group. Now we can actually delete Joe from the group, or obviously anybody. We can add him to a speed dial, or we can actually launch a chat window. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove Joe, and then if you can see Buy, because there's nobody in there, I can actually delete that group as well. So these are just people on the speed dial front that you would call on a regular basis. Contacts isn't actually the whole book of contacts. These are just people that are pre-populated from the speed dial and anybody that you add. So these are the popular people again. If you want to find a contact, don't go up there because that's only going to show me Joe Lee. If I wanted to actually find somebody else, you can see that Joe Lee is the only one that comes up in here, but over here I've got Hannah Johnson, I've got Joseph Bryant, I've got John Lockley, I've got John Prentice, and I've got obviously Joe Lee. Because this button, this one in here, takes everything. This scans our entire directory, whereas this will only try and sort of find people within our contacts. We've also got our history, so here's our call history. So we've got Tony rang me for 3.5 minutes a week or so ago. So there's some missed calls, incoming calls, outgoing calls, all of that sort of stuff, and the obligatory voicemail. Obviously, you get voicemail in Teams. You can't get away from people, so there's no voicemails yet. But when you get some, you'll get transcripts too. That would be nice, won't it? So that's a very quick breeze through. I should mention that when you're trying to call somebody, you can't call a pupil. You must call somebody else and then add the pupil in. So you would call, in my case, I would call Ark Teacher, and once myself and Ark Teacher are on a call, in that call there'll be a button in the top right hand corner. You'll see it quite blatantly, and you'll be able to actually add somebody else in there. I can't do it at the moment because obviously I'm talking to you guys, which means that I'm using my microphone and speakers and stuff to actually make the video. And if I try and call somebody, it does go horribly wrong. But there you go. So that's a very brief tour through. What we'll actually cover in part 2 is assignments, quizzes, class notebook, etc, etc. I hope you found part 1 useful, and I hope to see you on part 2. Oh, the other thing that I should point out is if Ark has actually set you up with your Teams, your organisation gets this as a page as well. Well, it's not actually this, to be fair. Oh no. I need to sign in. Too many accounts, unfortunately, people. So I just need to wait until I've been signed out. And now I can sign back in as me. Every organisation gets their own web space with some resources on there and some bits and pieces. It looks much better than this one. This is obviously our Ark demo page where it's just for remote learning, but you get obviously your school logo, and it's all sort of tuned towards your school. Also, while I'm here, I'm going to point you at the in the direction of education.microsoft.com. There are some fabulous training videos and things in here. You can earn a badge so that you can obviously you can be a Microsoft certified badge holder thing. And the other place that I'm actually going to direct you to is YouTube, which is obviously where you're watching this, but I'm going to show you anyway. So we're going to say Ark ICT, Ark ICT Solutions. Here's the channel, and if you go to the playlist, there is a full playlist of Teams videos. There's 19 in all at the moment. We add to them on a fairly regular basis. They're a lot more in depth. They're a lot more slower paced. So if we look here, how to create and manage Microsoft Teams, I created a team in about 5 minutes. Whereas obviously I'll spend a little bit longer, and there's a pupils guide to Teams, so you can direct your pupils here as well there, and it just tells the pupil how to log on and go through all the bits and pieces. So there's all of this sort of stuff in here. So Microsoft Teams calls, where I spent about 30 seconds, there's a 10-minute one there. So this is there's some useful stuff that we don't cover in part 1 and part 2, like using Stream, turning off bits and pieces. So definitely have a good look at our YouTube channel. It will definitely pay off, I guarantee it. So having said all of that, I hope you have found this useful, and I hope to see you in part 2. So up until then, have a lovely day, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.